welcome to the Somerset Diverse Communities podcast. I'm Justina Mustafa and I'm a Community Engagement Officer. This show is about ethnically diverse communities in Somerset. Today, we have Judith Moore with us. Now, Judith is a support worker for the Displaced Peoples Project for Mind in Somerset. Hi, Judith. How are you?
Hello, Justina. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for coming. A really interesting topic we're going to talk about today. It'll be really good to know a little bit about what Mind do, and particularly about the people that you work with.
Thank you. I think for a lot of people, emotional and mental health is really hard to talk about. They're big issues, very sensitive issues, and it's very hard to start that conversation. And we are Mind in Somerset. We're a local mental health charity, and we appreciate that for some communities it's particularly difficult. There are real barriers to talking about mental health, but we all need help at times. We can all have difficulties with our emotional and mental health at different times in our lives, and we recognize it's good to talk. And we're very aware that some communities find it particularly hard. So at Mind in Somerset, we want to break down those barriers so that everybody can talk about their mental health and get the help they need, the right help at the right time. So that's how our Displaced Peoples Project came to be. And I'd like to just tell you a bit about, what we do and what else is available, because these are services that we can all need at times in our lives, and they're there for all of us.
Brilliant. Thanks, Judith. Can you tell us about the different types of people from the displaced community? I mean, where do generally people come from around the world?
People can be displaced from their home communities for many reasons, and I'm very aware that in Somerset we have growing communities of people who are refugees and seeking asylum from various countries around the world. And I'm also very aware that people have come in the past for work, for families, and I think for anybody coming into a new place, a new community, language can be very difficult. The subtleties of talking about emotional and mental health, the stigma, perhaps past experiences, families, and the how they view emotional and mental health, and a lot of people are afraid of being judged, being they're afraid of what people may think of them, and sometimes people just don't feel comfortable about talking about mental health. And then in Somerset we have some wonderful services that are all about emotional and mental health, and I'd like to make sure that people know what's available and that it's there for them too, because that's key. And I'd like to just explain a bit about how we get around some of those barriers. At Mindline, we have our 24-hour telephone helpline, and we've been 24 hours for a few years now. And recently we've linked up to interpretation support, because for talking about big, difficult issues, we all need to have a language that feels comfortable, that we can explain it how it is, and also the person we're talking to can hear it like it is, and that needs, a comfortable shared language. So we have now that. So anyone ringing Mindline, if they just, sort of say what language they'd like, and we do our very best to link up with interpretation. And I'm also very aware that sometimes it can be very hard to talk to somebody, perhaps who's from your family, a close friend. And it's really helpful sometimes just to talk to someone who doesn't have those connections, who doesn't have those, those contacts. Somebody completely independent, someone who's just going to listen without judgment, and someone who's knowledgeable, so can explain, perhaps what else is available, link to other services, but just listen so anyone can just offload, talk about how it is for them in that safe, supportive environment. We also have an online chat in the evenings, 8 till 11, because sometimes people find it more comfortable to talk, online rather than actually say the words. So it's finding ways to meet people's needs in whatever way feels comfortable for them. And we also have some fabulous teams who offer one-to-one support, whether it's from the crisis safe space, who can offer one-to-one time with people to talk about some of those very difficult, very negative thoughts and how to keep safe, because keeping people safe, enabling people to talk about difficult emotional health issues, to balance those, to manage those and look after themselves is really important. But we also have some people who very much targets support for getting in touch with other activities, employment, housing, and offer that kind of support. We have some wonderful groups, because actually when we have difficulties with our mental health, sometimes it can be very lonely. We can feel very isolated, and it can be very scary. But actually being in touch with others who also share those difficulties, being with people who completely get it because they have the same sort of difficulties, can just lift off some of that pressure. It can help with that support, and you can also be supporting them, so it's a win-win. And some of the groups are linked to activities, because sometimes it's nice when you're actually doing something that you enjoy, something that's you're sharing. That's the time to talk. It's not when you're sitting across a desk and you're having to make all that eye contact. It's when you're sitting beside somebody doing something that you just feel, I can talk now. I know them. I trust them. They speak my language. They're okay. So I and my colleagues go into the welcome hubs, and we have some wonderful welcome hubs around Somerset. And in the welcome hubs, I work with colleagues from the council who can help with housing and benefits and health services and all sorts of things. We have lots of other colleagues from Taunton Welcomes Refugees, Charis Welcome Refugees, and other colleagues. And it's all about making people feel welcoming, getting them the support that they need, that's right for them, and also mental health and emotional and mental health support if that's what they need, because we want everybody to feel happy in Somerset, feel they're welcomed, they belong, and they're part of our community now.
That's wonderful, Judith. So many different ways and so many different services that you offer. I mean, the Mind Line, and then the evening call sessions, the one-to-one, the welcome hubs, all amazing. How would somebody, if they were a refugee or an asylum seeker, what would be the first thing that they could contact someone to access these services? How would they go about doing that? Is there a telephone number online, or is there some kind of a provision that will...
I would recommend, if people are at all able, look at the Charis welcome hubs. If people look on the Charis website or do a search for welcome hubs Somerset, then they'll be able to see there where all the different welcomes hubs are, the opening hours, where and when. And I would encourage people to go and meet there, talk to somebody in person. It's always so much nicer, isn't it, talking to somebody in person? And that's a great place to start. And they will have access to interpretation. For some languages, they may have an interpreter, in the welcome hubs. For others, they can, link to interpretation in the welcome hubs, and they will know what's available in their welcome hub, whether it's English classes or who's there, where and when. They are a fabulous starting place. I myself am in the Sedgemoor welcome hubs alternate weeks and Wells welcome hub alternate weeks, and I'm in the Taunton welcome hub Wednesday mornings because they have their wellbeing cafe. But we have wonderful colleagues from Diversity Voice who also go in to those, and we're all very much working as a team. So those are a great place, but also looking online for Diversity Voice and mindinsomerset.org.uk is a really good place to start and find out about all the other services there. Open Mental Health is the other website to recommend, because there's lots of information there. But I think for somebody who is a refugee or seeking asylum, the welcome hubs, and for people in temporary accommodation, I hope that they've been given the sort of information about what's available local to them. And just on your websites, have you got information and links to local services, and that will be another good place to look?
Yes, we do. And I think that's really important that you've brought up the issue of language. That is a barrier. I mean, we have so many different barriers for people from ethnic diverse communities and displaced people, and I think language always comes up on top as being one of the major barriers, because if you can't access something, if you can't speak, if you don't understand what the other person is saying, it's really, really difficult to engage with anything or be a part of any service. We actually run some conversation clubs across the county, and they're a really safe space for women from ethnic diverse communities to come together. It's usually in the morning, and they take place at different locations across the county, and they're on our website, which is ccslovesomerset.org.uk. And if you go under Somerset Diverse Communities, it will have all the different conversation clubs there, and you can bring your children along. So it's for women to bring their children along. It's a drop-in, it's to come and practice your conversational English skills, but it's also a space to link in with other services that you might need as well. So if it's, for example, you've got an issue with housing or education, we'll find somebody that will be able to kind of support you in that. So yeah, language, I think, is fundamental, isn't it, to everything that we do.
And just being able to share, to laugh, to cry when we need to cry. And I have to say, as a woman, I sometimes I need to talk to other women, but I'm also very aware that for men it can be really hard talking to women, and actually they just need to talk to another man as well. So we do have support services in Somerset. There's a wonderful organisation called SASP, and they have a programme called Unbreakable Men, because sometimes men just need to chill and talk about their health at all. They can't always be looking after everybody else. They need to look after themselves too. And I think for women just to get together, to chat, practice language, but also just talk about what's going on for them, I think is really important. And I'm very much looking forward to coming and visiting the women's conversation classes around Somerset, just to say hello and explain who I am and meet the women. I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. And I would also say to people, if you just kind of don't know what's out there, ring Mindline. And I'd like everyone to take a pen and or save the number, because it's so good just to keep handy, and you can ring, just talk about yourself 24/7. And if you want interpretation, if you need help having a language that is comfortable for you. Just say what language it is, and we'll always do our very best to link up, because everybody needs to feel comfortable. But the numbers, we've got a local number, which is 01823 276 892, and we also have an 0800 number, which is a free phone number. So 0800 138 1692, and they both go through to the Mindline call handlers 24/7. So just if you can have that on your website as well, and then people know where to go, and just to say, you know, it's okay to talk, it's there for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Judith, for all of those details. I didn't actually know that when you call through, you can actually go through to an interpreter and they will find the right language. So that's amazing. That's really, really useful. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And we're really looking forward to having you at our conversation clubs across the county and seeing you there. And thank you again for sharing, you know, all that you do and the services that you provide to displaced communities.
Thank you. Thank you, because we want to help. There are kind people who we want to help, and we want everybody to feel part of our Somerset community. We are a diverse community, but we have buckets of kindness and well-being, and we care for everybody. So, you know, welcome to Somerset.
Brilliant. Thank you so much again.